I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 5 years now. We met in college, and honestly, I thought we had a solid relationship. She was the kind of girl everyone admired, pretty, smart, confident, a little bitchy at times, but in that charming way. We were actually supposed to get married in just a few days. Everything seemed set perfect, and then, bam, my entire world flipped upside down. Looking back, there were signs, little things I brushed off at the time. Lisa's phone always seemed to be glued to her hand, but I figured that was just her being modern, always texting her friends or whatever. She started to get weirdly defensive when I'd ask to see her phone, and I noticed she'd hide it more often. She'd go out with her friends a lot more than usual, claiming it was just girl time, but she'd come back late, and her stories about where she'd been started to clash with each other. Little things, but I was too caught up in the wedding planning to pay much attention. Then came the weirdest part: she started acting different in bed. Less interested, distracted, like she was somewhere else. That's when I really started feeling uneasy, but I told myself I was overthinking. We'd argue sometimes about her being distant, but she always had some excuse ready. Work stress, her period, me being insecure. Sure, I was worried, but I trusted her. Or at least I thought I did. The day I found the proof was a total accidental stumble. I never expected to do this, but I was going through her phone after she left it unguarded on the kitchen table. Just a quick peek, I told myself, trying to see if she was texting someone else. Instead, I saw a string of messages, not just flirty or innocent stuff. No, these texts were filthy. She was describing a night with someone she'd never mentioned, and it was clear they'd been seeing each other for a while. The worst part, it was with my best man, Jake. The guy I trusted more than anyone outside my family. I don't even know how I managed to keep my composure at first. My hands were trembling as I scrolled through the messages, and my stomach felt like it had dropped to my feet. They'd been talking about sex, plans to meet up, how she loved the thrill of hiding it from me. All those nights she claimed she was out with her girl squad. Lies, every single one. I stared at the screen, feeling numb, trying to process what I'd just seen. My mind kept racing, thinking about the upcoming wedding, all those promises she made, and how she'd lied right to my face. I didn't confront her then, not immediately. I needed time to breathe, to understand what I'd just uncovered. But that night I couldn't sleep. My brain kept replaying those messages, each one stabbing like a knife. I felt betrayed, angry, humiliated, like I'd been played for a fool. How could she do this? How could she cheat on me, and with the very best man I trusted? Just days before we were supposed to get married. The thought made my blood boil, but beneath it all, there was this crushing sadness. I had loved her, or maybe I thought I did. Now I wasn't so sure anymore. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind was still spinning from what I'd seen the night before. I kept going over it, trying to figure out how I missed all the signs, how I could have been so blind. I mean, I knew Lisa could be a bitch sometimes, but I never thought she'd do something like this, not with Jake, not right before our wedding. She always played the innocent victim card, saying I was insecure or paranoid whenever I'd get suspicious about her phone or her late nights. Now I see why she was defensive. She was hiding something huge. I decided I had to confront her. I couldn't keep living in this bubble of lies, but I also knew that whatever I said, things wouldn't be the same afterward. I was furious, but I was also hurt deep down. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. There was no way I could keep pretending everything was fine. I waited until she came home from her girls' night out, which I now knew was a lie. She walked into the apartment with that fake smile, acting like everything was normal. As soon as she stepped inside, I just blurted it out. "Lisa, I know about you and Jake. I saw the messages. Don't even try to deny it." Her face instantly changed. The smile disappeared, replaced with that bitchy glare she always used when she was annoyed. She scoffed, her voice dripping with annoyance. "Oh, really? You're just snooping through my stuff now? That's pathetic, Mike. Honestly, I don't know what your problem is, but you're overreacting." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She acted like I was the crazy one for catching her cheating. She shifted her tone, trying to brush it off, saying things like, "It was just sex and it doesn't mean anything. Jake and I are just having some fun, that's all. It's not like I love him or anything." I felt like I was about to lose my mind. How could she be so brazen, so dismissive? It wasn't just some fling, she was lying, deceiving me just days before our wedding. I pushed back, voice shaking with anger. How can you say it's nothing? That's my best man, Lisa. The guy I trusted more than anyone. You're telling me you've been sleeping with him and you expect me to just act like everything's fine. She rolled her eyes, crossing her arms. You're being dramatic, it's not a big deal. We're not even planning to run away together. It was just sex, Mike, that's all. You're making it into something it's not. Her words cut deep and I could see the contempt in her eyes, like she didn't even care that she was destroying what was left of my trust. That moment hit me harder than anything. I realized I was standing there, feeling betrayed and humiliated, trying to hold it together while she dismissed everything like it was nothing. I looked at her, and for the first time I saw her for what she really was, a manipulative, selfish woman who'd been lying to me for months. I felt the rage building up, but underneath it all, there was just this crushing sadness. How had everything gone so wrong? How did I end up here with my supposed future wife cheating on me with my best man? I thought about the wedding, how I'd planned it, how I imagined starting a life with her, and now all of that was crashing down around me. I didn't know what to do next, but I knew I couldn't stay silent anymore. After that confrontation, I felt like I was walking around in a fog. My mind kept replaying her words, trying to understand how she could be so callous. It was like she didn't even care about what she'd done or how much she was destroying us. Honestly, I was so angry I wanted to scream, but I also felt this deep, painful sense of betrayal that I couldn't just shake off. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved, was out there having sex with my best man, lying to my face and acting like I was overreacting. It was a lot to process in a single moment, and I knew I had to plan my next move carefully. Over the next few days, I kept my distance. I didn't sleep much, and every time I saw her, I could feel the weight of her lies pressing down on me. I was furious that she could just brush it off, call it just sex, like it was nothing. I couldn't understand how she could look me in the eye and lie so effortlessly. I felt so stupid for trusting her, for imagining our life together. But more than anything, I was scared. Scared of what this meant for our future, scared that this might ruin everything I'd ever wanted. I started digging deeper. I needed hard proof. I went through her phone again, carefully, looking for anything I might have missed. That's when I found the emails. Turns out she'd been exchanging messages with Jake for months. Not just flirtatious stuff, but detailed plans to meet, secret conversations about how they'd hide it from me. I saw pictures they'd sent each other, her in lingerie, him looking at her like she was the only woman in the world. The messages were full of dirty talk, promises to keep doing it, no matter what I said or did. It was worse than I thought. This wasn't just a one-night stand. It was an ongoing affair, hidden in plain sight. She had lied about everything. All those times she claimed she was busy at work or with her friends, it was all bullshit. She'd been sneaking around with Jake, and I'd been too blind to see it. The worst part is I started to question everything about our relationship. Had she been cheating on me earlier? Did she ever really love me? Or was I just another fool she was stringing along while her real life was with him? I felt so betrayed, so broken inside, I didn't even know if I could look at her the same way again. That night, I sat her down again. This time, I showed her the proofs. Her face went pale as I laid out all the evidence, the emails, the messages, the photos. Her reaction. She flipped her shit. Started yelling, calling me paranoid, accusing me of spying on her because I was insecure. Her voice was venomous, saying I was ruining everything, destroying her reputation, making her out to be a slut just because I found out the truth. She insisted I was the crazy one, that she'd never cheated, that I was just jealous because I didn't understand her. But I had the proof and I knew she was lying. I could see the panic in her eyes, the desperation to cover her ass. In that moment I realized I was done trusting her. I felt numb again, like I'd lost a part of myself. How could someone be so manipulative? How could she sit there and deny everything even when I had the receipts? I didn't know what to feel anymore, anger, sadness, disgust, all swirling inside me. But one thing was clear, I couldn't stay with her after this. Not anymore. The girl I loved was gone, replaced by someone I barely recognized. And I was left with nothing but questions and a pain that seemed to have no end. The days that followed were honestly a blur. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat much. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, heard her lies, felt that sickening betrayal all over again. The worst part was knowing I had been so blind, so trusting, and it all turned out to be a lie. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I didn't see it coming. But deep down, I realized I'd been too afraid to face the reality, that the woman I was about to marry was capable of this level of deception. I started to think about what I should do next. Part of me wanted to confront her again, to demand answers, to tell her how much she'd hurt me. But I knew that would only make things worse. I felt like I was spiraling into a deep hole, so I decided to take some space, clear my head. I started planning my next move, weighing my options. Should I call off the wedding? Should I leave her? Or was there some way to fix this? Honestly, I was so angry, so humiliated that I couldn't even think straight. All I knew was that I needed to get out of that apartment, away from her, and figure out what my life was supposed to look like after this mess. One thing I did do was reach out to Jake. I needed to hear his side of the story because part of me still couldn't believe it was real. I called him, and let's just say, hearing him try to deny everything was almost laughable. He knew he was caught, and he was fumbling for excuses. He kept saying it was just sex, that nothing serious was going on, that they didn't mean to hurt me. Yeah, right. That's what they all say when they get caught. I told him he was a piece of shit for screwing over not just me, but my future with Lisa. I also told him I'd be making sure everyone knew exactly what kind of man he really was. Meanwhile, Lisa kept texting me, trying to spin her story, acting like I was the crazy one for overreacting. She told me I was jealous, possessive, that I didn't trust her, and that I was ruining everything for some sex that didn't mean anything. It made me sick. She was so bitchy, so dismissive, like she didn't even care how much she'd hurt me. Every word she said just confirmed she was capable of more lies, more manipulation. I couldn't believe I'd been so stupid to ignore the signs. Honestly, I started to feel like I was losing my mind a little, like maybe I was the one in the wrong for trusting her so blindly. I also started thinking about the wedding. It was just days away, and honestly, I didn't see a reason to go through with it. I knew I had to call it off. Not just because of her cheating, but because everything had changed. I couldn't marry a woman who lied to my face, who saw me as some fool she could use and discard. I texted her, telling her I was done, that I couldn't marry her after everything, and that I needed time to think. Her response: she called me crazy, accused me of ruining her reputation, and basically told me I was the one at fault for not trusting her. That was the last straw. I knew then I had to get out and get some space to breathe. So I booked a hotel for a few days, packed some clothes, and left that apartment behind. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, walking out and leaving behind everything I thought was real. But I couldn't stay and watch her spin her lies anymore. I just needed to be alone to process all this mess. Sitting in that hotel room, I finally allowed myself to feel everything: the anger, the sadness, the disappointment. I kept telling myself I should have seen it coming, but honestly, I was just broken. I trusted her. I loved her. And now, I was trying to pick up the pieces of a life that had been shattered in a matter of days. It's a hell of a thing to wake up one day and realize the person you swore to spend your life with was just pretending to be someone she's not. The time alone really forced me to think clearly for the first time since everything fell apart. I kept replaying the entire story, from the signs I missed to the moment I found the proof, to her angry denial. It hit me hard how much I'd loved her, how much I'd trusted her. But now that trust was gone, shattered into a million pieces. I kept asking myself if I could ever forgive her, if I even wanted to. Honestly, I was leaning toward just walking away from it all, cutting my losses and moving on. The betrayal was too deep, and I didn't see how I could ever look at her the same way again. After a couple of days of being alone, I finally reached a point where I knew I had to make a decision. I couldn't keep running from the pain, and I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay when it was. I decided I'd give her one last chance to explain herself, Not because I believed her, but because I needed closure. I called her, and she answered with that same bitchy tone, acting like everything was just a big mistake on my part. She tried to guilt-trip me, saying I was being paranoid, that she still loved me, and that she'd never do something to ruin what we had. But I was done with her bullshit. I told her I didn't believe a word she was saying anymore, that I knew about her affair, that I'd seen the messages, the pictures, everything. I told her I was finished, that she'd crossed a line I couldn't come back from. Her reactions were predictable. She started screaming, calling me possessive, insecure, even crazy. She accused me of ruining her life just because I found out the truth. Honestly, hearing her lie so effortlessly made me sick. I realized I'd been clinging to the hope that she'd change, that she'd see what she lost, but that hope was gone. I knew I couldn't stay in that toxic situation anymore. I told her I was done and that I'd be filing for divorce. I had to take control of my life again, even if it hurt. I made arrangements to see a lawyer and get everything sorted out. I needed to protect myself from any more lies or manipulation. I felt a strange mix of relief and despair. Relief because I finally was taking back some control, and despair because I was losing the woman I thought I loved, the future I'd planned. But deep down, I knew staying would only hurt me more. I had to walk away, even if it meant starting over from scratch. Looking back now, I realize I've learned a lot from this nightmare. Trust is fragile, and it can be broken in an instant. I also learned that some people, no matter how much you love them, are just not worth fighting for if they're willing to betray you so completely. I wish I could say I'm completely okay now, but honestly, I feel like I'm in that in-between phase, hurt, angry, but also stronger because I finally stood up for myself. If there's one thing I want others to take from my story, it's that you don't have to accept betrayal or lies. Sometimes, walking away is the only way to save yourself, and you owe yourself that much. Now that I've finally moved out and cut the ties, I'm left with a lot of questions that don't have easy answers. I keep wondering if I'll ever fully trust again, if I'll ever look at relationships the same way. Honestly, I don't think I will, not anytime soon. The betrayal ran so deep, it's like a scar I'll carry with me for a long time. But at the same time, I know I'm better off without her. I'm relieved to be free from the lies, the manipulation, the betrayal. Still hurts to admit that the girl I loved, the girl I was ready to marry, turned out to be someone completely different. This whole experience has changed me. I've become more cautious, more guarded, but also more aware that not everyone deserves my trust. I've learned that some people are just good at hiding their true selves, and that love, no matter how deep, can be shattered in a heartbeat if you're not careful. I've also learned that I deserve someone who genuinely respects and values me, not someone who plays games and lies to get what she wants. Looking back, I realize I was naive to think everything was perfect, but I also know that I was honest and vulnerable, and I trusted her to be the same. That's what hurts the most, realizing that honesty and loyalty are rare commodities, and I lost both in the span of a few days. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that I won't let this destroy my ability to love again. I'll take my time, rebuild my confidence, and remember that I deserve better. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, I want to say, trust your gut. Don't ignore the signs and don't dismiss your feelings. If someone is lying, cheating, or manipulating you, don't be afraid to walk away, even if it hurts. Because in the end, you're worth more than someone's lies and betrayal. You owe it to yourself to find happiness and honesty, even if that means starting over. I'm doing that now, and while it's not easy, I know it's the right choice. And I hope anyone else in my shoes can find the strength to do the same.